Good afternoon, council members, members of the committee, and also the general public. My name is Wilson Tam. I am the Interim Transportation Planning Manager at the Department of Transportation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you how DOT is trying to use innovations to address a critical problem that I would say probably almost all DOTs and all public agencies in the nation have been facing for decades. And this critical need is how to streamline the flow of collecting transportation data for a purpose, such as performing a transportation planning study, archiving the data after use, and retrieving the data in the future for different purposes. Streamlining this process is very challenging because of three reasons. First, processing the data is very labor-intensive. Second, archiving data often results in significant information loss. Third, we do not have a good data that serve multiple purposes. So we are working with Urban Logic on a pilot study to streamline this data flow process. So before I talk about this pilot study, let me first use a transportation project as an example to explain how transportation data are used and why addressing this data flow problem is critical. Think about the Better Bikeway project, as we all know about it. This project is being implemented in central San Jose area. This project is about redesigning several streets to make it safer, more convenient, and more comfortable to bike and walk. The project started with planning and design, when we identified better bikeway corridors, recommended locations to install protected bike lanes and traffic calming treatments, and allocated space among street users in ways that serve the goal of the project. We picked 2 weekdays and asked our vendors to collect vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle volume data at 20 signalized intersections during peak hours, which is shown in the picture in the top, and 24-hour vehicle volume and speed data at 80 mid-block locations, shown in the pictures in the bottom, and some parking utilization data. Most vendors provided raw data files in 2 formats, Excel spreadsheets and PDFs. We had only one engineer who had to manually make sure every data point was valid by comparing it with data collected in previous years at the same location. After the study was complete, what do we do with the raw data files, which are hundreds of Excel spreadsheets and PDFs? Archiving these data points into either an Excel database or Geographic Information System, GIS, was a challenge because the Excel and PDF files were developed by different vendors and therefore were in all sorts of formats. Rather than developing a macro in Excel to parse the different formats of raw data into the databases, we decided it is even more efficient to manually enter the data one by one. And due to limited staff support, we were able to archive only roughly 20% of the data we collected. The other 80% of the data are currently sitting idly somewhere in our server. Our data needs extend much beyond project planning. As the Better Bikeway project is in the construction phase right now, we have a project delivery team that evaluates construction impacts and provides rerouting options. We also have signal operations team that updates our signals and ensures efficient real-time intersection operations for all roadway users, including emergency vehicles. We also have a neighborhood management team that addresses constituents' concerns as they get accustomed to the new design, and the infrastructure maintenance team that ensures the pavement quality is brought to standard. And of course, our team, long-term planning team, that monitors the performance over time and ensures that the street network is consistent with the city's long-term urban design and transportation vision. These efforts require lots of data and happen in different points in time. possibly years apart. Without a centralized data system to which these efforts can access and share data, what happens is each team would go through its own data process in silos. 80% of the data would get lost, and we would not achieve the compounding value of data, and we would continue to allocate resources on purchasing the same conventional data repeatedly at the expense of other unconventional data sources that we could have otherwise collected and incorporated into our insight building. The city would also be prone to making less informed decisions and bearing the risk of making unintended mistakes with bad data on projects that would be extremely costly to overcome and unwind. Urban Logic is a data analytics firm that aggregate, automate, add, and analyze diverse data sets to help governments like San Jose better understand the needs of our communities. We are working with Urban Logic on a grant-funded pilot study to streamline DOT's data flow process for 2 conventional data sources: intersection volumes during peak hours and 24-hour vehicle volume data at mid-block locations. We provided Urban Logic thousands and thousands of raw Excel and PDF data files that DOT collected in the past 5 years. Although these files come in various format types, the study team is developing for the city a centralized data platform that applies statistical techniques to decode these files and inject all data into one single platform. By about early next year, we will have a platform that would allow data vendors to upload new data directly to it, validate the new data based on historical trends automatically, and automate the aggregation of data to serve a study's need. More importantly, the system would apply machine learning algorithms to generate estimates at locations where data are scarce and analyze different data layers together to predict the travel behavior into the future. I would say that I've been with the city for 3 years. For those three years that I have been with the city, I think DOT spent more than $300,000 per year on collecting conventional data sources. Like many other governments and public agencies in this country, we have not been able to fully capture the compounding value of data and beyond the purpose the data originally served. From this pilot study, we will understand more and more about the power of a centralized data system and what the important criteria are for the long-term data platform for DOT and the city as a whole. The long-term data platform, which we will release an RFP to obtain after this pilot study is complete, would streamline the data flow process and provide not only DOT staff, but also all departments in the city a systemic view of our city functions and unlock new insights surrounding the strategies for smart city implementation. Thank you.
So what we highlighted today is one part of several types of testing we're doing with the Urban Logic platform. So the planning data and ground truthing it is one. Really the power is being able to unlock additional data sets to marry it with those types of data sets. Yeah. So to your question about additional data sets being layered on to make better decisions, the possibilities range from economic development data being layered on, so the economic development can make better decisions. Safety in terms of collision can be taken into consideration, design, all of those types of things. But until we get the ground truth, which was what Wilson was kind of talking about today, it's really difficult to really unlock all of the other implications we can do with this platform or a similar platform. It's like a fast forward button by having them help us out with this.
Right.